Everyone knows of the horrific glamrock Chica fate where you crush her in the trash compactor and then forcefully rip out her voice box. This then obviously leaves her unable to communicate, she's unable to use her voice at all, and when she does try and communicate, all that seems to come out is weird mechanical noises. Now, the noises she makes are extremely creepy, they have no words at all, and thus any normal person would think listening to this, they have no meaning. But that is where you're wrong, because I've listened to these on repeat non-stop, slowed them, reversed them, and hidden in all this mechanical mess and monstrosity, there's a dark and mysterious message that she was trying to tell us all along. So hit that subscribe button and let's get straight into it. Now, as Gregory continues his journey through the dumpster world, obviously through all the trash, Chica continues to chase him relentlessly, making all these horrible gurgles and mechanical noises. And it's the complete opposite of when you first see her, where she's saying, I will take you to your family. She's actually being quite nice about it, where all the other animatronics such as Roxy and Monty are actually quite rude to him. But not Chica, she's actually trying to be quite nice.
Who wants candy?
So then it got me thinking, what was she actually trying to say to Gregory when she's making these noises in the dumpster world? Because she wouldn't just be making these noises for the sake of it, she would just be extremely quiet, especially knowing she can't speak and she hasn't got a voice box. So they must have some meaning, right? So I'd listened to every single decommissioned voice line on repeat for about 2 hours. And some of them are actually quite easy to make out, such as in this voice line here. That's clearly, where are you? And if you notice, that's actually in the same tone as when she tries to say to Gregory before she's decommissioned.
Where are you?
Telling us that's obviously a pre-recorded voice line. And this is where things get extremely interesting. Have a listen to this. She's actually saying, give my beak back, please, before getting cut off. There's also another one. Clearly she's saying give it back, and she's saying this to Gregory because he's obviously took her voice box. Makes sense, right? But there are things which doesn't make sense, because in this voice clip, which is sound effects low 05, I slowed it down to 50% and you can clearly hear her saying help me. Now at first I thought, man, that's me just been listening to this on repeat for too long and I'm trying to find something which isn't there. But then I found this voice clip. Now if you listen carefully, at the start of that it kind of sounds like a kid laughing, and I thought, that's a bit odd, and I listened back again, and the more and more I listened to it, the more and more I was convinced that this was a child laughing coming from inside Chica. And this got me thinking, how is this even possible? What does this help me mean? This kid crying? I mean, when we actually crush her, she actually screams. It's actually one of her voice lines. Many people thought it was the compactor making a noise when she gets crushed, but it was actually her screaming, indicating that she was simulating pain or feeling some type of pain. And it only gets worse from there, because after she's decommissioned, we obviously see her head spin right round when she's eating, whereas she never used to do that before, and the reason she's doing it after she's decommissioned is because she's remembering her eating the trash in the compactor, and Gregory pushes her from behind. She's experiencing the trauma, she's remembering. That's why she spins her head around when she's eating, because she doesn't want to suffer that trauma again. Now we also know that Chica is way more robotic than her other counterparts, such as Roxy, who's extremely lifelike, so is Montgomery Gator, and so is Freddy. But Chica, she's very much like a zombie, more robotic, extremely twitchy. Now, in a nutshell, the reason she's doing this is because she's fighting Glitchtrap's control. And if you want detail on that, I've done a huge video on the reason why Chica was actually crying, and it covers all the detail. But then it got me thinking, when I did that video, I was talking about how Chica was crying, and she was only crying when nobody was around, and it was extremely rare. And then I thought, hang on, does she actually cry when she's decommissioned and doesn't have her voice box? And then I discovered something. She actually can be heard crying without her voice box. This blew my mind. How was that even possible? I mean, she can't even speak, but she's somehow heard crying? Things are not adding up. Coupled with the fact we heard a child laughing in her decommissioned voice lines, and then her saying, help me, I started to think, is this something I've completely missed in the lore? Is there be a spirit inside of Glamrock Chica? That can't be true, right? And this is where things start to get even more interesting, because I thought, well, hang on. I thought all the animatronics were simply just robots, no spirits inside of them. But then we had the whole thing of Freddy actually being Mike, with Mike's spirit now inside of Freddy, trying to save Gregory, who's the crying child's spirit has now gone inside of. I won't get into that. I highly recommend checking out my timeline video. But it got me thinking, could a spirit have gone inside of Chica? And if so, how? This box seems to indicate some type of supernatural behavior. And then it hit me, Mr. Cupcake, or Carl the Cupcake, the original FNAF1 Cupcake, is in security breach. Because remember in Rockstar Row, they have pieces from all the old animatronics, all the old pizzerias, and the original Carl the Cupcake is sat there. But wasn't he also haunted with a spirit? I mean, how did he even survive FNAF 6? Well, we know many people survived FNAF 6 because the FNAF 6 pizzeria is buried below the Mega Pizzaplex. I mean, they could have easily made a Glamrock Cupcake variant for Chica to have, but they didn't. They chose not to do this and actually kept the original FNAF 1 Cupcake from the FNAF 1 pizzeria, which was stored in the glass cabinet, and they used the remains of Carl to rebuild him for the Glamrock Chica to use. This would mean that the cupcake still has the spirit or remnant of whatever was inside of it. Now, whatever spirit was inside of it is a completely different debate, whether it was Susie's dog or Susie splitting her soul herself and going into the cupcake like we see in the movie. Could have some of that soul from the cupcake then have moved into Glamrock Chica as she was experiencing less of Glitchtrap's control after being smashed to smithereens with a compactor, and then falling down further below the pizzaplex into the dumpster world. She's closer to the old pizzeria as well, so if there's any lingering souls around, they could easily now go inside of her and take control, because as we know, Chica was clearly trying to fight Glitchtrap's control. She didn't want it. All that is evident throughout Security Breach, and the big thing for me is the fact that we hear her crying without her voice box. And then we hear a kid laughing in the decommissioned voice lines, coupled with help me, everything else going on in between. Does that mean she has a soul inside of her? And let's not forget, there's also hints throughout Help Wanted 2 that someone else escaped the fire of FNAF 6, because we see her on a drawing. Could that then mean that Susie actually survived? Whatever way you look at it, the fact that Glamrock Chica does to me indicate there's some type of paranormal activity. Now, having further listened to even more of the decommissioned voice lines, there are definite signs of other hidden messages, whereas in one of them I can kind of hear a code at the end. Because in that end snippet there, it kind of sounds like numbers, letters, but I can't quite make it out. I'm really going to have to go to town and decipher this meaning, because it could hold the hidden clue to all of this. Or it could just be nothing at all, who knows? However, regardless whether you believe the theory of the soul inside of Glamrock Chica or not, we uncovered what she was actually saying in her decommissioned voice lines. She definitely wants her beak back from Gregory, as we heard in the previous voice lines. Does that mean she actually has a spirit inside of her? Like I said, I would highly recommend checking out my other video on Chica, because it goes into depth and details I haven't covered in this video. Why is she crying? Why does she only do that when seemingly no one's around? And does this mean the other hidden secrets in the other animatronics? And don't forget to like and subscribe for plenty more FNAF content coming up soon. You're not going to want to miss it. I'm Twisted from Twisted Animatronic. Stay safe out there, superstars.